Let me read to you a passage from the 12th chapter of St. Mark's Gospel, verses 18 to 27. It's the Gospel for Wednesday of the 9th week in Ordinary Time. St. Mark writes, "Then the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to Jesus with a question. 'Teacher,' they said, 'Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife but no children, the man must marry the widow and have children for his brother.' Now, there were 7 brothers. The first one married and died without leaving any children. The second one married the widow, but he also died, leaving no child. It was the same with the third. In fact, none of the 7 left any children. Last of all, the woman died too. At the resurrection, whose wife will she be, since the 7 were married to her?" Jesus replied, "Are you not in error because you do not know the Scriptures or the power of God? When the dead rise, they will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Now, about the dead rising, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the account of the bush, how God said to him, 'I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob'? He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are badly mistaken." That's from Mark chapter 12, verses 18 to 27. What does it suggest to us? Well, many things could be commented on in respect to our Lord's words in the Gospel I've just read. The most obvious is, of course, his clear teaching on the resurrection from the dead, and in particular on the resurrection of the body. In the Nicene Creed, the Christian professes belief in the resurrection of the body. There have been all sorts of belief among the religions of man in the question of survival after death. The Egyptians had such a belief, as did other civilizations of ancient times, and various traditional religions of primal societies also possess notions of the afterlife. But a distinctive tenet of Christianity is belief in the resurrection of the body. And this is derived not from a religious myth or a philosophical speculation, but from the fact of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He rose from the dead in glory and in his body. The Christian firmly believes that if he lives in union with Jesus Christ here on earth, apart from living on in his spirit in Jesus Christ after death, at the end he will rise in union with Jesus Christ in his body. There will be a final resurrection in the body. This will be when Christ comes in glory to judge the living and the dead. This total resurrection the Sadducees denied. As our Lord said, they did not know the Scriptures, nor did they appreciate the power of God. But then our Lord makes his final observation, which we ought to take to heart, and I'd like to comment on it. He tells the Sadducees that they are very much mistaken. Consider that. The Sadducees were convinced of the truth of their religious belief that there was no resurrection, but the incarnate Son of God tells them that they are very much mistaken. We are so used to conflicting religious opinions and absolutely opposite contentions being presented as true by this or that person or group that we can gradually lose our sense of truth and falsehood itself. By this I mean that without quite realizing it, and because of the lack of consensus in matters of ultimate importance, we can settle very easily for personal opinion and preference rather than objective truth as the only final arbiter. This viewpoint that settles for personal opinion rather than for objective truth in effect means that there are no mistakes in matters of ultimate importance. Usually it is allowed that the case is different in issues that can be tested in some sense empirically. Such matters as these are regarded as hard facts that no one can deny, and because no one can deny them, a stand can be made for their truth, at least in pragmatic and practical terms. If you go through a red light while driving on the road and the camera catches you in the act, there is hard evidence at hand and the truth of the matter is resolved. But if you say that Muhammad is the greatest prophet, well, that is ultimately a matter of opinion, so it is thought. And of course, it is certainly not open to empirical testing. It is impossible then to assert that the devotee of Muhammad is objectively mistaken. It is his personal opinion or personal preference, and that is all that can be said about it in ultimate terms. Such is the drift of the modern mind. It does not allow that Christ's assertion at the end of our gospel passage that I read can be made in respect to ultimate issues. One cannot say in religion that you are very much mistaken, because there is no such thing as a mistake of this kind. There is only personal opinion or personal preference. Modern secular man refuses the notion of objective and dogmatic religion. It dislikes and refuses a religion which insists on objective truth and on the declaration and rejection of its opposite, which is error. The notion of religious heresy is repugnant to the modern mind because religious truth is seen to be relative to the individual. That is to say, personal opinion and preference rather than truth is the ultimate arbiter of final issues. There are no mistakes, provided you are sincere and provided, as we might put it, the horses in the street are not disturbed. Relativism such as this is a far cry from the mind of Christ. Our gospel scene that I read earlier, in that scene, the Sadducees come to our Lord, and our Lord tells them that they are absolutely mistaken. There are mistakes that can be made. In our religion, let us take our stand on the truth. In religion, we ought strive to avoid being mistaken. We must not settle with mere personal opinion or preference. The truth revealed by God and Christ must be the object of our search and the foundation of our entire practical life. God has revealed the truth about ultimate issues, and this truth can be known and proclaimed. This means it is possible to be correct, and it is possible to be mistaken in these ultimate issues. We must make it our business to be correct and to live in the truth as it has been revealed by Christ and brought to us by the Church. It is the truth which will make us free.